After the last video, this is part two. I want to do a little disclaimer. If you're not interested in me talking about sad things or whatever, that's fine, you know. If you just want to watch Hall's videos and goofy stuff, then this is probably not the video for you. So y'all can go ahead and go. It won't hurt my feelings. Not at all. Not at all. Bye. But for the rest of y'all, I got my crap together. Did some dishes and laundry. And I watched the other video and I was thinking, ugh, should I really post this? First of all, you can see all this mess in the back. But it's tough stuff, and it's hard to see somebody cry. And back to squeezing my macaroon. But I was thinking that the internet lasts forever. And so, at least I think it does. I always tell my children, be careful what you post. That's why I'm careful about what I say about cussing, and I don't want to talk bad about people and or nothing, because I think the internet's going to be around for a long, long time. And maybe when my grandchildren are grown up and they'll want to see what did Grandma look like, back in the day. What did Grandma think about this or that? Maybe they could check this out. I don't know. I don't know where the course of the internet is going. I don't know where YouTube is going sometimes. I hear really weird things from people about they take down videos. I was watching Dear Julie Saturday night, and she had posted 3 new videos, and I watched one of them, and then the other 2 disappeared, and then I went back and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And then that one was gone that I just finished watching disappeared. And it wasn't anything bad. It was paper crafting. And I'm pretty sure she didn't take them down. I mean, maybe she did, but anyway, so I was going to continue my story. So life goes on, as it always does, as it should, and I came back to Texas, and in the meantime, I met Greg, and him and I became friends, and we became lovers, and then we got married. And I kept in close contact with my mother, obviously, because I was concerned about her. She had taken care of my dad for the, like 4 or 5 years quite intensely. I mean, she got to the point where she couldn't even go to the church or the store or anything. So all of a sudden, and I know it was hard for her because, first of all, she missed him terribly, and then she was his caregiver for so long. Let me adjust my seat, sorry. Hope you didn't look at my nostril. It'd be disgusting. So, yeah, I kept in contact with her a lot, and she's my mom, of course I did. But I was working, and then Greg and I got married, and you get busy, and that's what happens. And my mom would come and visit, and she was always trying to talk me into are you going to come home for Christmas? Are you going to come home for Thanksgiving? Are you going to come home for my birthday? And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't have the money. And then my daughter had a baby, and the money that I did have, I wanted to go see my first grandchild. So my daughter at the time was living in Wyoming. I flew up there to see Lily. And when Lily was born, and she, it was a delight of my life. I'm serious. I was really, really ticked that my daughter had had a baby at 18. I was really not happy with her. But my granddaughter, and then she consequently had another child, and her name is Rosemary. And my granddaughters are the light of my life. I mean, if I have ever done anything good, it is because of my 2 children and my 2 grandchildren. If those are the only things that I accomplish in this world that's worth anything, it's worth it to me. Because my granddaughters are just sweet as peas. I mean, just beautiful beyond words. I call them my little flower girls, and I was I always teased Brianna. I said, what's the next one going to be? What's the next? Daisy, another flower name? But yeah, anyway. So, consequently, I never went back to Michigan. But my mom would come down, and my sister Christy was living here at the time, and so she would stay at Christy's house, and she'd stay at my house. So I saw a lot, not a lot of her, but I saw her quite a few times. And, you know, she got to know Greg. Everything was great. And she had been having problems with her knee because my dad died of Alzheimer's, and he had fallen, and so she had tried to pick him up and had hurt herself. And so her knee had been bothering her. And so she was always, you know, she would say it was bugging her. And it got to the point that she couldn't climb up and down stairs, which is a big problem. And the problem being is that my dad had built the house, and it's has a basement. In Michigan, they have basements, and in the basement is where the laundry facilities are. So in order for my mom to do laundry, she's going to have to climb up and down the stairs, and they're not like, they're pretty steep. And you know, I teased her about a chairlift and stuff, and she's like, no. And you know. So I'm like, what are you going to do? And she said, well, the doctor had given her, you know, as many steroid shots as they could give her in the knee. But he couldn't do any more. And in order to use that knee, she was going to have knee replacement surgery. And she was very concerned about it because my uncle had a hip replaced and he did not do well. I mean, I don't think he ever recovered from it. So my mother was hesitant. She was very, very, very hesitant. And I told her, I said, you know, what are you going to do, Mom? You know, drive the riding lawnmower from the front of the house to the back of the house in the snow, you know, to bring your dirty laundry in through the slider door so you don't have to climb the stairs. I mean, come on, Mom, you got to get this done. And my mother she's always been a healthy person. She had a couple ear infections and stuff and bursting eardrums, so she didn't hear really well out of one ear. But I swear to you, all the woman ever took her entire lifetime was like aspirin. And multivitamins. I mean, she got to the point where she was taking a leave for her knee, and I'm sure they gave her prescriptions, but, excuse me, I need a drink. So I said to her on the phone, I said, do you want me to come up there? You know, do you need help? And she said, no. I'm going into the hospital. I'm going to have the surgery done. It's not a big deal. And then they're going to put me into a rehab center. And it's going to be fine. Don't worry. You know, it's no big deal. I said, are you sure? Yes. You know, don't worry about it. Okay, Mom. Okay. So she had that done, and she said it hurt a lot. It was a pain in the butt. And I was grumping at her because she didn't want to go to rehab, because you have to go, look at these baby hairs, don't you hate them? She has to go to rehab and work on her knee. I mean, because if you don't use it, you lose it, and it stiffens up, and what's the point of having surgery? I am really uncomfortable, and I don't even know why. Anyway, so then she called me, and this was after the knee surgery thing, and she said that she had went to the eye doctor and that her retina had detached. And I said, what? That's very peculiar. And she said, so she had to have eye surgery, and then she had to lay face down. They brought in a bed for her to lay face down. Because after they fix your retina, put it back where it's supposed to be, there's pressure on your eyeball when you move your head around, so you got to have your head face down. And I guess the pain medicine made her sick, and it was miserable. She had to lay face down for a couple weeks at least. And I talked to her on the phone, I said, Mom, do you want me to come up? No, 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 no. It's fine. My sister Terry lived down the street. Terry was going to come visit her, and I think Mindy went to visit her. Maybe, I don't know. But she had home health care. People with from her church, and Medicaid paid for people to come in and check on her. And I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure, Mommy?" And she said, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." Okay. So in January of 2017, my sister Terry called me and said, "Mom's sick." And I said, "Okay, I have the flu too. I feel bad." She's like, "No, Mom's sick, sick." And I said, "Really?" And I didn't think too much of it. And my mother's always been very independent. And so she went to her friend from church's house and stayed there. And I thought, well, that's weird. I know she doesn't feel good, but how bad could you feel that if you have the flu, you're staying at your friend's house? She's never done that before, and I knew she was a big baby when she was sick, so I was like, okay, maybe she just wants her friend to fuss over her and make her feel better. And so, I didn't think anything of it. And the next thing I knew, I got a text from my sister, Terry, who lives in Michigan, Grand Rapids, said that they were taking Mom to the emergency room. And I said, "For what? She has a head cold. What's wrong with her?" "Well, she's not breathing right." And I said, "Okay, the flu is bad this year. I had the flu. Maybe she just, that's it." So I talked to her in the hospital, and they thought she had pneumonia. They didn't think she had pneumonia. She had pneumonia. She had bad, bad pneumonia. And so I was like, okay, no biggie. They'll get her through. My mom not really been sick too much in her life. She's going to be fine. I'm not going to worry about it. No big deal. So the doctors decided to run some tests because she just wasn't getting any better. And so she called me and she said to me, "Lise," she always called me Lise, "Lise, they're not really sure what's going on with me. They're going to keep me for a few more days. I'm not bouncing back from this." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Don't you ruin St. Patrick's Day for me, Mom. I mean, St. Patrick's Day is my mom and mine favorite holiday. I mean, I love St. Patrick's Day." I said, "Don't you?" She said, "Well, I'm going to call you on St. Patrick's Day, and, hopefully by then they'll know what's going on." I said, "Mom, don't you ruin St. Patrick's Day for me. I'll never forgive you." And she just laughed, and she said, "I'm sure it's nothing, Don't worry, don't worry." So on St. Patrick's Day, I had gotten home from work, and I was tired, and I was laying there crocheting. And the phone rang, my cell phone, and I answered it. It was my mom, and she said to me, "Lisa." And I said, "Oh, hey, Mom, how are you doing? I knew you were going to call me today." And she says, "It's cancer." And I said, "What?" And lo and behold, it was lung cancer. And my mom had smoked, I think, in her 20s. I know she smoked in her 20s. But she had quit in 1970 and hadn't smoked since. But my dad always smoked. My dad smoked in the house. We lived in Michigan, and of course the windows were up. And so I said no. I immediately curled into a fetal position, and I said, "No, no, 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 the doctors are wrong. They're wrong, Mama. They're wrong. You're not sick. You don't have cancer. They're wrong. They made a mistake." And she said, "No, honey, they're not wrong." It took me 2-3 weeks to get to Michigan. I buy tickets, and I kept calling into work, and finally they just said, we took you off the schedule. And I said, that's fine. They said, when are you coming back? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. It means nothing to me. And so, when I got up there, she had been doing pretty good. They had her on steroids. And the deal is that she had lung cancer. It was stage 4. It was terminal. She was in hospice care. And it was the best and the worst experience in my life. And she was 79, almost 80 years old. And I wouldn't give up that experience of watching my mom die for anything in the world. I mean, it was horrible, and it was awful, and it was everything you can imagine. It was funny, and it was sad, and it was, I just, and she would joke and say, well, at least I never have to go into a nursing home. And I was like, oh, jeez. Both of my grandmothers on both sides, my dad and my mom, had been in a nursing home, and both of my parents thought it was terrible, and that they never wanted to go into a nursing home, and neither one of them ever had to, so that's good. And I would tease her and say, well, at least you never have to go to the dentist again, because we both hated going to the dentist. And she was on steroids, so she ate a lot of pizza. And then she stopped. She wouldn't eat anything, really. And my sisters and I would take shifts, and we would sleep in the living room on a fold-out couch, and she was in the hospital bed because she wanted to be in the living room. She wanted to be in the center of everything. And she would wake up in the middle of the night and, coughing, and she would want to go to the ladies' room, and I would help her. And one night, towards the end of her life, she got really weak and couldn't, she went to sit down on the potty and, kind of slipped a little bit. And I grabbed her, and I wrenched the hell out of my shoulder. I mean, it was my right arm. I mean, it hurt so bad. But what are you going to do? You're going to let your 80-year-old mom fall on the floor? And she passed away at home on in May, on a Saturday at about 6:00 p.m. And the Kentucky Derby was on, and she had been breathing weird, and so we check on her every 10-15 minutes. And I went in there to tell her that the Kentucky Derby was on, and if she wanted me to turn the TV on so she could listen to it, and she was gone. They say people do that because they don't want, they slip away when others are out of the room because they don't want to upset their children. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what my mom did. And it goes on. It just goes on and on, the funeral. I could go for hours talking about the experiences I had with my sisters, with my family, and the funeral and all that. But I won't, because this is already almost 20 minutes long. So I guess there's going to be a part 3, because I I think it's too long, and I want to explain a couple more things. So I'll talk to you in a few minutes.